Hi, Saturday chat time. I've got quite a lot of things to discuss and show. This, by the way, is the current tube glue that I use and I have been using forever alongside the Tamiya thin glue. Humbrol. Actually, no, very long ago I was using Britfix, I think, in the 70s and maybe a bit into the 80s. I fixed the vertical stabs and the fins, the vertical stabs and the rudders. That's somewhat well on, and while I was doing that, one of the wings just fell off, which means it wasn't glued on at all very well, and when I looked at the joint there was a lot of glue in there, which means that it didn't touch the surface hardly, very minimally. So you have the pin and then the flat surfaces touching, and this would be an example where the flat surfaces weren't touching but you couldn't see it, and the glue was so brittle that it almost felt like super glue. And I don't know, maybe I really did use super glue, which would be very odd because I don't do that on large surfaces ever. But this, and I've just broken off the very thing that I tried so hard not to break off all afternoon, which was the pitot tube over there. But that doesn't matter. It was just a little piece of stretched sprue anyway. The alignment of this aircraft is completely wrong. So if I hold the fuselage more or less level, the wings are off and the tail plane is more or less correct with that, but so I don't know if previously it was glued on wrong. That might be part of the problem, that to get the wing symmetrical with the other wing I had to hold it in a particular position, which was a position where the flat surfaces weren't touching. That's interesting. Anyway, this is very old. At this stage, this aeroplane, it picked up damage. A book fell on it at one stage, and it's had its share of wear and tear. At this stage, this aeroplane represents well enough the building style that the build quality that I was able to achieve in, what did I say, was it 1994, somewhere around there. So one of the main gears is a little bit semi-crushed, but it's still holding up from that damage. I'm just going to put that on the floor there. This one is quite an interesting little one. I just did this last year, I think. Pretty sure it was last year. This Jet Provost, Airfix Jet Provost, one of those smallest of Airfix kits. And when I decided to grab that out of the box, I thought I'm just going to build absolutely straight out of the box. Undercarriage not on because I haven't finished painting that yet. I wanted to build as if, in the same way that I built in the 70s, well, except for quality, of course, but I wanted to at least spray. So I sprayed the fuselage, did a nice silver, put on the decals, and that was that. It's going to get no canopy masking because I wouldn't have done that. And it looks quite good. This kit does have its problems. It's an exceptionally simple one. It has fit problems, but for what I was getting out of it, for what I perceived that build would be, I'm very happy. By the way, I used to do that on the underside of my aircraft in the 70s. I used to put the little sticker from the decal sheet for the name of the aircraft. I assembled this last night. This is from the Kawasaki KR250, which is not one on my build list for right now, but slowly here and there I build halves and start getting things ready. And it's a very, very precise job to ensure that you get that that fuel tank with the absolute minimum join problems. Now there's a little bit of a step there. There's just on this very edge, even though I made sure I didn't miss out on ensuring alignment there everywhere. Test fitting, so I've done a fair bit of sanding and getting this right. When I do this, by the way, I'm sanding with, because I'm quite particular about removing plastic to get a flat surface. Like over here doesn't matter because that's under the seat. I'm not particular about it there. I'm particular about keeping the shape of something, which means that I try as best possible to get 0 step there while I'm gluing, and then when I sand I'm using 1200 on this. With the roughest would be 600 and only soft sanding, so that at the end I have got the surface and shape of their molded pieces as perfectly as possible. Now this comes back to what I was saying about effort in accordance with build quality. This is a Hasegawa top quality kit, which means that I know they molded this right. I wouldn't be as particular on a much lower quality ones, but I don't really build lower quality bikes that often. I have one or two. But not very happy with that. Oh, almost didn't show you the thing I wanted to show you, which was the bracing pieces of plastic. That's just a little bit of, it's not even, it's half mil. It's at best 0.5 millimeter evergreen plastic, because the last thing I want is, after all my work and even after spraying, when I'm adjusting and fitting this onto the bike, that I want a split to happen in the glue. This is, it's a pretty thin join, this plastic molding. It's not thick, so it's not impossible for it to crack off later. I know I'm maybe slightly on the side of over-engineering there, but for models where one little split, I mean, that's the number one spot on the model. Seeing a line down the tank is just the number one blemish that you can have. So I cut those and put that in. The 1/48 Phantoms that I'm slowly slapping parts together. But look at this. Now, I want to know from you guys, because I'm about to decide, and I haven't done this before. I want to just cut this off. Cut that off, paint the fan, paint the engine bit, which is just that part you can see right on the inside there, separately, and paint this separately, because when you airbrush into there, the back pressure of the air, from all the times I've done it in the past, it's obviously the worst kind of painting that you can do, spraying. I know you go in with very, very soft pressure when you're doing this and sort of things like that, but spraying through an open tube is just way, way easier, and spraying a separate flat engine piece, and then you just glue it on afterwards. So I'm probably going to cut that off. And honestly, the millimeter I wouldn't even lose a millimeter, but if the amount of plastic you lose from the cut and rejoining, no big deal. Do any of you do that? This here, I know you know what that is. It is an Airfix kit. This I built. Look at the color of the glue joints. Look how long this has been waiting for anything to happen on it. The glue has gone yellow. This Donia 10 Donia X. I don't actually know what they referred to it as, X or 10. I'm sure it was 10. Although I'm sure Donia had built more than 10 aircraft by that time, but X for the 10 engines. I guess that was it. Yeah, I think I did read that. Just forgot because I haven't touched it in ages. But I grabbed this one after I'd built my Boeing Clipper, and I grabbed this in about 1987, 1988. And this has just, it's just been waiting. Almost a wreck. But I'm going to actually address it. I'm going to see if I can do something with that. It feels very bad just leaving a model for like four or 5 decades. Jeepers. I got this model recently. Now, I already told you I absolutely love Ertl models. I don't know, it must be something about their presentation of their boxes and just what I was seeing in the 80s. I bought one, the Pastar 5000 mixer, and my brother got this one, and I built this for my brother. Now, keep in mind, this was no painting era. I couldn't afford paints. I could just afford models, and I built this for him. And this was one of the first cars that I ever built. No idea that it probably got played with to death. So I've got this, but I don't quite know what to do with it. I don't want to do a fancy build. This mustn't be a showroom piece. I don't want to build it unpainted either, because I'm not mad about the yellow scheme. He originally had an orange plastic one, and I think of an orange scheme. I think I looked online and one guy did it in a sort of an olive green, which actually looked very nice. But I just loved the way they presented these features. Now, and keep in mind, to a kid that mostly only built aircraft or odds and ends, these sort of features on a vehicle, and I didn't know anything about vehicles at that point. This was a big discovery process. I was learning about cars, which was really nice. Well, now there's something different. This is a solid resin. Well, when I say solid, I mean it's a one-piece resin, or at least maybe 2. I think 2. I've got that. There's more structure there separately. Resin model. They were a little bit expensive. I bought a whole batch of them. So at stages, you are going to see these things that I do. They are built with for use on tabletop war games as well. But you can also build them as standalone diorama pieces and what have you. Very, very nice. I've started on a few. So unusual and out of the ordinary. So I was painting some. I was doing one of the layers of the GSX 750 now. I sprayed the Alclad gloss chrome onto the tank side covers. Now I must just check if I didn't miss the tailpiece, but that police bike I believe doesn't have the normal tailpiece, so I hope I didn't actually forget that. I must just go check. And the front mudguard, done that the chrome and gave it a gloss coat. So remember, well, if you'd watched the bit where I was speaking about what I'm going to do with that, that's now going to get clear blue to make a candy apple blue on that GSX 750, which I think is going to look really, really nice. But while I was spraying that, although I sprayed very nicely, the gloss black which I'd sprayed initially, because you need that before you do the chrome, that had a little bit of an uneven surface, and that carries through. When I say uneven surfaces, I mean that's being nitpicky, because it looks pretty good, as you'll see when I do a next video on that bike. But that comes back to, and many aspects of my builds come back to that, when I think to myself, oh, that's a pity. Should I do something about this? Should I fix it? And then that comes back to build and put effort in accordance with the quality of the bike. So it looks quite good enough. What bike is this? This is an old Tamiya 1980s bike. I'm already missing a piece. I'm modifying it because it's not the police bike. So and the quality of some of the pieces are really not great. It's on the lowest side of Tamiya's bike quality models. I'm going to do a really, really nice job of it. But what I'm saying is I make myself not get upset about small blemishes or small imperfections, whereas if I was building one of the more modern ones, I would be even more perfectionistic about that. The fit problems on this, same thing. Might not be that clear. Underneath the rudder is a fairly large gap. Various fit problems, but I mean, only if I really told you. But in accordance with what this model is, it's great. This is a very, very simple air fix. Now, also, as I've shown this to you, has anybody bothered to get uncomfortable about that unfilled seam line on the fuselage? Of course, this wouldn't pass a competition, and it would be mildly frowned upon if you put it on a table amongst a lot of good models. But you don't need to fill everything if you're sort of doing practice models or quick builds, things like that. Okay, so I sprayed that. That's going to have to wait. Okay, I think, where did I put that? So I was speaking about this BLERO. Now I've been purposefully ignoring this model and purposefully ignoring something when it's got a bit of vac form in it. Although I've done a vac form, I've done a half and a half. I haven't done a full vac form. I've done half on one model and half on another model, which I will show you. I think I did in one video. This one isn't even a vac form, but it does have vac form parts, and it's got the photo etch, which means I can't just dive in and start building as I love to do. But chatting with one of the modelers in our club, we're going to do an old model build, old aircraft build. But I also had this BLERO, so I thought, no, well, actually it is a very good model. That the quality of that photo etch and the quality of the molding. So this is going to be a real beauty. Gradually I'll do bits on this year. Very, very nice. And the more I look at it with the British roundels, actually, was that British or was that French? I mean, I know the aircraft was French, but no, this is, Royal Naval Air Service. So it's a BLERO, but in British markings, serving in the Royal Naval Air Service. Okay, it doesn't say what year that is. I mean, I'm going to guess this could be anywhere from 1910 to 10, 11, 12. The bottom one, believe it or not, a BLERO in service 1914, which is Italian military aviation. Can you believe that BLEROs were already being used in foreign air service somehow, doing some sort of functions in that early, before World War One? Now, I wanted to ask you guys. So yes, so I asked in the video, but I'll ask now again. I need advice on soldering, the bigger, and I really mean just touch soldering, absolute minimal. No, we're not talking blobs or anything here. We're talking about just minimal soldering on the bigger pieces of photo etch, or don't do that, just stay with the super glue. I'm very hesitant for the super glue. I mean, I know it builds, it works well on metal, but it's very brittle and it breaks off for no reason. And I'd like this model to last a long time. Now, apart from that one, I have decided, because I think I'm making myself believe it's going to be easy, to build another old aircraft from scratch. And because I'm trying to go as absolutely early as possible, I have decided to go with Santos Dumont 14 bis, which is that weird box looking contraption with the smaller box up front and the bigger wings at the back. The first powered flight in Europe in 1906. It's not a pretty thing, but I'm going to do a 172 Santos Dumont 14 bis. And I'm not going to do it all in one go. I'm just going to slowly do little bits as I go, because it's not like you can actually dive in and it be rewarding. Not sure if I'll do 3D printing as part of that to try and get some of the structure right and to get a little bit more rigidity. I don't want something that is so fragile that just, someone sneezes and the thing collapses. Okay, I'm going to show you a bunch of these because I want to do a quick build on one of these, specifically the bubble packs. I have got I've got all my good ones on my wall and I won't open them. These ones which have had damage and they've been folded over and they've been squashed. Some of the blisters have been squashed. But what do you think would be a nice one? For whatever comments I get within the next week and a bit, till I decide to actually open one, and then I'll open it in a video and start looking at it. Which one do you think would be a nice one to do a little bit of a quick build on? So we've got Sopwith Pup. We have got Avro 504K. I've never built a Avro 504K. I'm thinking this could be a very, very nice model to do. That would be almost my choice. We've got a Hawker Demon. Which is nice, easier, a lot easier. But it would also look nice. Don't have a problem with that. We have got a Bren carrier with, I'm guessing the, would that be a 17-pounder or 6-pounder? Not sure if that would be the 6-pounder. Quite small, but also a very, very interesting little build. Matador truck. And I think if I opened this up, well, I suppose I could build both the truck and the gun, but my focus would be on the truck. I like the truck. So that's obviously a little bit fuller and a very nice model. So these are all, the packaging is somewhat dilapidated. They've had a bit of a hard life. They've been a bit squashed. The one that is a bit open, a bit squashed on the top, is the Avro 504K. So I'm hoping nothing got lost out of there. It's all crunched in and broken. So put your comments in. I'll make my vote the 504K. As much as I like those trucks, this 504K I think would look great in a collection. Very, very nice. And I will commit to do the rigging which is going to be a challenge. But I must then ask you guys, what do you recommend for rigging? So the last times that I did rigging was cotton. Cotton doesn't look great. Stretched sprue is not bad. I'm wondering, okay, so take a vote between stretched sprue or very thin nylon, which I think you can order. I don't have any of the special modeling one. Stretched sprue means you need to get many lengths in the same thickness, and I'm not going to be able to do that. All I'm going to be able to do is stretch, lay it out, stretch, lay it out, stretch, lay it out, put it on the ground, put it on the table, and look at them all and choose some, which would probably be good enough. But nylon, I think, would be the better idea. I haven't seen any for sale here. I'd have to look especially for that. Okay. Think about that. Put in your votes. I think that might be all that I specifically wanted to show. And what else did I want to talk about? Oh, yes, that's right. More on the issue of the nostalgia aspect of modeling. And I have a feeling that, especially with the older modelers, the older you get, the more nostalgic certain builds are within your collection. I've got many models that may have been part of what I built in the 70s or 80s. I don't know if I feel nostalgic about builds that I do post 2000. I may like the build a lot, but I'm not sure if I feel nostalgic about it. Whereas I think that early stage of my modeling, there's quite a strong nostalgic connection to some models, not others, which is quite an interesting point. Now, one of the nostalgic aspects of my model building is I collect all of the box tops. So I have almost all, I would say. I might have misplaced one or two, or due to damage. I have all of my box tops going back to 1981. I don't have those from the 70s because I was young and didn't really realize that it would be nice to keep them. I possibly have one from 1979. So that means from 1974 to 1979, and I built quite a lot of models. I don't have those. That's a lot of box tops, and I'll do a video on box tops some stage, or some of them. There's no way I can hold all of them here. Do any of you guys collect your box tops? I cut them because I can't keep the boxes, so I keep the sides and everything, keep the tops, put them in a nice place. But one of the things I also did, I went through a brief period, 1981, 82, 83, 84 maybe. I kept a scrapbook, and I glued in the various aspects, including pictures that I'd found of the particular model aircraft, or model that I was building. In some cases it was a tank. But we're talking about at a time when no internet, some books from the library, but you can't cut out pictures or anything. Everything was, expensive. You weren't going to go and make photocopies of just anything and everything. In fact, I don't think I made a photocopy of anything in the 70s. So the only time you would find a picture of the real thing that you were building a model of was perchance in the newspaper, perchance in an average magazine that you might have, an old magazine that was being thrown out from somewhere or other. I was not in a position to buy any modeling magazines in the 70s. The only money which I was spending was on the model itself. I did also, however, collect card packs. The picture cards, the aeroplane playing cards with their stats. I've still got all of them. And that helped me learn a lot about many of these aircraft, tanks, ships, everything. I've got a collection of about 100 card packs. Very, very nice. Give a shout out if you want me to do a video on them sometime. It's not quite modeling, but quite an interesting sideline to the collecting and building of models. Okay, just in closing, I can show you that scrapbook at some stage. I sort of wish I'd done more, but they fitted the size of the small 172s and not much more. The last thing that I wanted to say in closing was what? Did that just slip my mind? I can't remember now. That's okay. When I remember, that'll be in the next chat. Okay, well, happy modeling. Oh, okay, I can end with this then. I only just found out now what Winnie May was and did. So I have the model, and I thought I was just building a, what is it? Can't even remember the type of aircraft now. Lockheed, no, is it? Can't remember. But it's an aircraft that flew around the world in 8 days. So it's actually a very historic aircraft. Okay, well now I've got more enthusiasm to build that. Happy modeling. Till next time.